Hi, I'm MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 24 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 24 of City Hunter, titled A Rosy Hospital Stay, Targeted Angel in White.
I'm feeling better today than I was last week. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, we're both feeling a lot better,
I know
thankfully.
I mentioned before that my nose was all stuffy. Not stuffy today, so that's good. Just the tiniest bit of a cough every so often, but I think we're gonna make it.
I think that's just the smog.
Oh, that could be.
Entirely possible.
Los Angeles is terrible.
Yeah, pollution. It's not great.
Which is why we're gonna go all the way to Japan.
To go to the hospital.
That seems really inconvenient.
It's inconvenient, but that's how I'm doing the segue into the beginning of the episode. So let's go ahead and get right into that.
Seamless.
Just seamless.
Absolutely seamless.
I'm a master at the segue. So we start off our episode this week at the hospital. We see a nurse patrolling the halls at night and happens to get pranked by a bunch of people pretending to be ghosts.
And that includes Rio. Rio's already in this hospital. And they're just like, ooga booga booga. And she's like, ah! And she falls to the floor. And then we cut to some random guy shouting at Rio.
Like a hospital administrator.
Shouting at Rio like it's his fault. And it's not even like at Rio, because the only person in the frame is this old guy that we will never see again.
Yeah, it's just somebody.
That's it. Get that Rio out of here and throw him into his own room and tell him he has no visitors. Why? Did he coordinate this? That's the only way this works, is if he was the one who coordinated. All right, guys, you take all these Halloween masks, you put them on, and you ooga booga booga when she comes in to check on you. All right?
I got all these from the 99 yen store. We're going to do this real quick and it's going to be great, I promise.
It really, the setup doesn't make any sense to me.
As far as cold opens go in episodes, this one's a little confusing.
It's weak. It's pretty weak.
It's weak. So we need a little context for why Rio is even in the hospital at all. So let's back it up a little bit, as does the episode. So we see that just a couple of days prior, Rio and Kaori were brought into the offices of one Hideji Takatsuka, who is apparently a captain of industry there in Japan, and an increasingly frail old man who needed to go to the hospital. And in that time, while he was in the hospital, he was smitten with one of the nurses who was taking very good care of him, and has decided to leave quite a bit of a sum of money to this nurse, to the tune of almost 10 billion yen.
That's crazy. That's like
$100 million.
About $100 million, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. I would take 10 grand right now.
I know.
But yes, apparently this nurse made quite a bit of an impression, so this guy, Takatsuka, has decided, no, I'm going to leave this fortune to her. This has pissed off a lot of people who have business interests in what Takatsuka's money could do for them, so they have sent several hitmen to take out the nurse in question, and Takatsuka's, I guess, secretary or whatnot has decided to go ahead and hire City Hunter to take care of the nurse.
And their decision that they make here is like, all right, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna get injured and you're gonna go to the hospital.
Well, I don't think they even had the plan of getting injured. They're like, well, we're gonna have to come up with something to get you in the hospital.
Either way, the idea is go be a patient at this hospital, and that's how you're gonna be her bodyguard. And really, they don't have a plan, but Ryo's already thinking about, sweet, I get to flirt with a nurse. Kaori doesn't like this, and she's grappling with him, as she sometimes does, and then kind of accidentally takes it too far and falls on top of him and snaps his leg.
Yeah, she falls on top of his left leg, breaking it, actually coming up with a reason for Rio to go to the hospital. And it's like, look, people, if you don't know how to professional wrestle, leave it to the professionals. Kaori, I don't know what you were watching that night in New Japan over there, and don't get any ideas. You're only making it worse for Rio.
No one should get any ideas from this.
But yeah, Rio actually now having a real medical condition means he gets his own room, just like we saw, and he, in short order, runs into the nurse who's going to be taking care of him, who's the one he's going to be looking after, a Miss Yoshimi Iwai, a very cute, attractive nurse who's very modest, very attentive, and also incredibly clumsy.
Very inept. She unfortunately is this kind of nurse that I've actually had several times, who's like, let me find the vein. Huh. I do not know where your vein is. Let me try about 5 times. Mind you, part of it is my own personal fault because my veins are incredibly tiny and nobody knows where my veins are. But the problem
because you're in control of that.
Yeah, like I'm in control of that. But the problem comes when they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna try several times. Also, I'm gonna fish around a little bit while I'm in there.
I've had that happen several times where I've had to give blood, get a blood sample at the hospital, and sometimes you're lucky and you know somebody who knows how to do it, real quick prick, and then they get what they need and then they get out. And then some other people are just like, like this character here, like Yoshimi, like, okay, I'm not very good at this, so, oh, my bad. Oh, my bad.
The one that concerned me was like, oh no, I went through the vein. And I'm like, what, you mean you went in this top side of the vein and punctured all the way through to the other side of the vein?
Like, I think she even almost says, like, oh, I might have hit an artery.
Oh, I got an artery. And I'm just like, oh my god, no! He's gonna have the biggest bruises on his arm if he doesn't have to have some other kind of special surgery or something to repair what you have just done to this man.
And then on top of that, like, she mistakes a pen for a thermometer. She accidentally gives him the wrong medicine. It's supposed to be something for his leg to help him heal, but it's actually a laxative.
Well, I mean, Ryo's pretty good-humored about it, though, because, like, take, for example, when she accidentally gives him a pen as a thermometer and then starts trying to write on her clipboard with a thermometer. He's just got this pen in his mouth and he's just laughing. Like, he thinks it's really cute and funny, actually. The only thing he doesn't think is cute and funny is the stuff with the needles where she misses.
That and the laxative, because it was a quick acting laxative. Now, overall, through this whole episode, I do actually really like the interplay between Yoshimi and Ryo. Ryo is very serious and playful, and he's, you know, trying to cop a look every chance he gets. And every time that he does that, it seems like Yoshimi is semi-aware of what he's doing, but still finds a way to ineptly stop him or punish him for doing it.
Right, like if he's leaning off the bed while she's trying to water the flowers or whatever, she turns around and she steps on his face, seemingly not aware that he's down on the ground trying to peek up her skirt, and yet, I don't know, every time she manages to stop him, so it's hard to say whether or not she really knows.
Or at the very beginning of their meeting, he goes for a butt grab. She grabs the nearest thing to her, which is the vase with the dragonflies on it. He stops her from hitting him, but that doesn't stop the water from coming out of the vase and dousing him.
Right.
Like, hey, cool off. As stupid as this sounds, it's actually, I find their interplay really cute.
It is kind of cute, actually, yeah.
So as this is going on for days and days and days of her trying to be really convinced that, no, I'm going to give you the best care I possibly can.
He's been there for like 2 weeks, too.
He's been there for a while. At a certain point, a visitor, I'm making air quotes right here, shows up with a whole fruit basket, you know, with different things, bananas, oranges,
grapes, and a gun.
So this guy pulls the gun out of the fruit basket. Thankfully, again, Ryo's super hearing kicks in, hears the gun, and is able to thwart it by throwing that dragonfly vase right at the guy's head, chases him off. My favorite part right here is after she chases him off, Yoshimi's starting to kind of, you think she realizes what's going on, like, oh my god, I think I know why you're here, I think I know why you were able to stop him. Ryo, it's okay if you're a Yakuza, I don't care, I'm still gonna protect you, you're still gonna get the best care. Like, that was her default.
Trying to play the Hippocratic Oath while not really understanding the situation.
Like, she never realizes the whole episode she's the one in danger.
Not for the majority of the episode, no. It takes her an incredibly long time to understand.
It's just all these accidents keep happening. And she's like, oh my god, it's all my fault. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, it is kind of her fault.
A little bit.
She just doesn't understand how it's her fault.
Right,
She thinks totally different things are the things that have caused this.
And one of the funny parts about this segment is when you see the bird crossing the screen with the ellipses behind it, which becomes a staple in City Hunter when somebody says something kind of stupid or deadpan.
We've already seen the dragonfly several times. In fact, we saw the dragonfly pattern on that vase earlier, which is just kind of an allusion to, we see this comedic dragonfly all the time. It appeared in the manga and stuff. And now I don't remember if we have seen this crow, this bird that goes caw, caw, and crosses the screen in weird, awkward situations in the anime before, but this is definitely the first time that we have seen it completely clear on screen with nothing else obscuring it.
Yeah, usually when you do see it, it's not necessarily by itself. You'll see a character's face and they've got that, look on their face, like Kaori will have it, Ryo will have it, sometimes Sayako has it.
And I kind of understand why in Japan you use a crow, because the sound that it makes is like laughing, or it sounds like, I recall specifically an episode, it's a filler episode of Naruto, right? And there's crows flying in the sky and they're saying, aho, aho, and aho is like fool or idiot or something like that. Or if you want to take it
to the edgelord extreme of fan subs, asshole.
It's definitely not that.
Yeah.
That's a real stupid interpretation. It's definitely not that. But so you get this idea that it's a funny, stupid, somebody has done something real dumb, and that's why this image of this crow is
like a visual
across
punctuation of a joke. in City Hunter.
So I don't know why sometimes it's a dragonfly. That's a thing I don't understand, but the dragonfly fills what seems to be the exact same purpose, and it just is whatever the animators feel like that day.
Yeah, so now it'll become interchangeable between the dragonflies and the crow, and the important thing to point out here is that the crow becomes synonymous with City Hunter. Like, they use this on a lot of their merchandise over there in Japan. It's even as popular as they made sure to include it in the live-action French film.
Right.
At the very end of the movie, it's their scene flying behind Kaori and Ryo once Ryo has done something pervy.
Yes.
And it was great of them to include that. There's actually a lot of really right on top of it notes that movie hits of like, man, y'all did your homework. You know what this is.
In fact, that live-action French film, once it got back over to Japan...
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot.
So the Japanese version, and I think we've talked about this briefly before as well, the Japanese version of the French film is censored because you see some dick.
Yeah, there's some dick.
French film. And it's really, really funny.
And some boob.
And some boob. But the censored Japanese version is almost funnier because you're covering nudity with the bird.
With the crow.
With the crow.
And it's just so much funnier.
So funny. Oh my god. I couldn't believe, like, what a clever way of using this dumb City Hunter well-known imagery on top of this nudity for censorship purposes. It was super clever. It was
totally
so funny.
Within the feel and the type of comedy that you would expect from the show, so it fits perfectly.
Right.
So yeah, really needed to point that out to you guys.
Point out that dick.
Well, point out that crow. Covering
that dick.
Yes. Good job, Kaylin, covering that dick.
Thank you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm not the one covering dick. This is the kind of thing that happens when you do a podcast. You just descend into madness and dick jokes. So seeing that there has been an attempt on Yoshimi's life, Kaori shows up to go ahead and check on Ryo, make sure everything's going all right. What I love is that she's there as she's talking to him about the case. She's signing his cast, keep your hands off the nurse. You know, not like best wishes or get well soon or see you at home, things like that, or I might secretly start feeling things for you, Ryo. No, it's keep your hands off the nurse.
I mean, that's par for the course out of Kaori, though.
Well, it's even more par for the course that she has a tiny little 1-ton hammer that she's striking the cast with.
You would think, oh, in that case, just carry around a normal hammer. I'm sure it would serve literally the exact same purpose. But this tiny hammer is a whole ton. This tiny hammer is the weight of a car. Pretty crazy strength.
But she's trying to stay on brand. She knows what her brand is, and it's the hammer.
It's the hammer. She managed to bring it into a hospital. It was pretty impressive.
I mean, it was tiny. They're not searching for hammers, Kaylin. But I guess they're not searching for guns either, because that fruit basket...
that sounds to me like they should be.
This isn't a good hospital, I don't think. Or maybe Ryo's insurance doesn't cover this.
It just sounds like they haven't installed metal detectors in hospitals yet.
True.
It's the 80s, Josh.
It is the 80s. So as Kaori's there trying to talk to Ryo, Yoshimi shows up telling her, nope, can't be here. Visiting hours are over. Come on, bye. And she does this a couple of times. It's funny because she's just totally not aware of what their relationship is, so she's just kicking him out.
Well, on top of that, Ryo's room says that he can't have visitors, period.
But it's admirable how much she's trying to protect him. Like that night, you know, she's there staying in the room trying to be like, all right, I'm gonna protect you. And then immediately conks out.
She thinks it's part of her nursely duties, but as you can tell, she's already a bad nurse, and so why would you think she could stay awake to keep away any bad guys that might be trying to kill either her or Ryo? That's not a thing she can do.
Yeah, but it kind of goes back and forth. Like on the one hand, she's there and she's audibly like talking about her dreaming about protecting Ryo from any bad guys.
She's dedicated to the idea. She's just not good at it.
Well, yeah, because she has that dream, and then immediately after that, for some reason, well, not for some reason, there's an alarm set next to Ryo's bed to go off to make sure he takes his medication, but when the alarm goes off, she thinks it's like a fire alarm.
I mean, she's still dreaming, and so you've had those kind of dreams, right? Where your alarm goes off, and rather than it waking you up, it like gets into your dream, and you think it's happening in your dream, and you're like, oh my god, what is that? That's happened to me. I can tell you for a fact that has happened to me.
So in her case, she thinks, oh no, in my dream I'm protecting Ryo, and now the fire fire alarm's gone off. I gotta get him out of here. And she busts open the window and just throws his ass out.
Picks him up out of the bed and, yeah, chucks his ass out the window.
Like, that's a lot of strength. And Ryo, I assume he's like, 175. He's got a lot of muscle on him. 180 maybe.
He could almost be 200 if he's got a lot of muscle.
Depending, yeah. And Yoshimi's not, a big, burly person.
I bet you at best she's 110.
At best. I would agree to that. 115's pushing it. Just to say she's not that big of a nurse, so throwing him out, that's a feat of strength there.
Yeah, and she's throwing him out second or third story window.
I think third story.
Yeah. He hits that ground. He doesn't manage to avoid it.
And thankfully, due to anime and cartoon physics, he didn't break his leg any further.
No, he just broke all of his teeth and then they grew back.
Yeah, because animation.
Because anime.
So we flash forward a little bit. Now it's been 3 weeks that he's been at the hospital.
Over a broken leg.
I know. I was thinking that's so weird.
Like, usually, you break your leg, you get a cast, maybe they keep you the day, and then you go home.
I think at best you're like 2 days.
Yeah.
At best. They'll keep you for observation, but then they need that bed. They're kicking your ass out.
Yeah, they're like, here's crutches, here you go. And you go about your business and you go back to school with a broken leg. You don't recover. You just go about your business and you walk around and just try not to stand on it.
And then people ask, hey, what happened? And then you lie about how you broke it. And then they're like, can I sign it? And you're like, yeah. And then they draw a dick on it.
Yeah, that happens. I've never broken a bone aside from that one time I coughed too hard for like 2 months straight and then I got a hairline fracture on a rib. So they can't exactly put a cast on that.
No. But point being, she's still there dedicated to Ryo's care. She's getting a little better with needles. Like now she can get it in the vein.
She just forgets to remove the needle when she's done injecting what she needs to inject.
Or drawing blood or what have you. That's kind of half the job there.
This specific scene, she is injecting something.
Okay.
And then when she's done injecting, they're both like, oh my god, we did it! Yay! And then he lifts his arm up and like, oh, there's still a whole ass needle sticking out of my arm all by itself while we're cheering and it's just kind of flopping around in there.
It's like, don't do that.
He's like, okay, you got an 80%. Good job.
See, like, I had this really dark thought of, like, her coming up, busting into the room, like, hey, Ryo, I want to practice doing needles here. Let's try one with nothing in it, just air.
No! No! Oh, that'll kill a person.
That would kill a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you cause a heart attack. I've seen enough crime shows to know. Thankfully, she didn't try that.
Yeah.
But she's also trying to, care for him physically, making sure he eats right. So she tries peeling an apple for him, but she's so bad at it. Like, she says, I'm so bad, I'm not good with my hands.
She just cuts the whole apple off of the apple. It just leaves the core. There's nothing edible about this apple, but Ryo's just like, no, I'm gonna make her feel better about this, and just eats the core and leaves the stem sticking out.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, you must really appreciate what I do. The last patient I had, he ate 5 of those.
Oh, okay, so now we can talk about this guy again who was giving you the money. Great.
Yeah, and he's trying to start that conversation, but it gets to a point where they kind of get off topic, and Yoshimi's there kind of like blushing and being like, oh, I kind of wish you could stay here at the hospital, Ryo, and she's getting all kind of close to him.
Because, yeah, nobody else seemed to appreciate the way that she's trying to work and how dedicated she is.
Right, exactly. And, there's something to be admired about that. Like, she wants to do a good job. Clearly her heart's in it.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes the two things don't match up. What's great about it is, like, the duck hunt dog, right? That's the visual I get of seeing Kaori in the bushes.
Trying to listen in on the conversation.
Yeah, and she's got the 100-ton hammer sticking out.
Yeah.
And I just there seeing her, and I'm waiting for her to go, like the laugh.
The laugh of the dog.
Now, some episodes we complain that Kaori doesn't really have a lot to do, but she's real important right here, because as she's there in the bushes watching them like, a creepo, she happens to catch a glint coming from the roof of the hospital, and there's somebody up there with a plate full of scalpels.
Scalpels and what medical scissors. What do you call medical scissors? I don't know.
The medical scissors. That's all I got.
The medical scissors.
This is why, Kaylin, I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor either. Scissors specifically for either cutting bandages
or
those. Something like that. I don't know. They're not your normal Fiskars, all right?
Fiskars?
Isn't that what that brand of scissors is
I
called?
guess it is. I never really thought about it, but you're probably
Fiskars?
right.
Yeah, like, now I gotta Google this, Josh.
See, I've never thought about the brands of scissors. I guess if I was a better No, you're right.
I was right. Don't you question me?
Well, are Fiskars medical grade? I see those for crafts.
That's what I'm telling you. They're not Fiskars.
Okay.
That's literally what I said.
Okay, so Kaori's in the bushes looking up at the scalpels and the scissors falling, and she's like, Rio, look out for the scalpels and the not Fiskars.
And Rio's like, oh, not Fiskars? That means it's not a gun and I couldn't hear it. Thanks, Kaori.
Yeah, because we noticed this. Rio did not hear the falling medical equipment. He can hear guns, and he does it again later in the episode, but he could not hear this stuff falling from like 4 or 5 stories up.
Right, so it was a good thing Kaori was there to let him know, because a bunch of very sharp blades were about to hit both him and his nurse in the head.
Which would be bad. Yoshimi needs to be protected, that's why he's here. And thankfully he's able to block and defend everything, even going so far as to catch a couple of things in himself to make sure that they don't hit Yoshimi. And so at this point, Kaori's like, okay, well, if I had to do that, I'm staying around. I'm gonna make sure to stay with you tonight to make sure that you're protected.
Yoshimi tries to kick her out, though, and she's like, oh no, did you not see that I just made sure the both of you didn't die? Clearly, I need to be here.
Right. And again, I want to point out the fashion again. So early in the episode, Kaori's wearing the yellow dress.
Yeah, that's one of her more common ones that these animators like to go to.
Personally, I wish they would put her in that one more. I think that looks really cute on her.
Yeah, that makes her look a lot more feminine, and they confuse her for a boy a lot less.
But then, towards the end of the episode, she's in the good jacket again, and I'm not going to complain about the good jacket.
Yeah.
The good jacket, TM.
Yeah, there you go.
And so Yoshimi's like, all right, fine, 2 people is probably better to watch out anyway. That's great. And we do need both people there because they've already got a plan in place. So a dude that night in a nurse costume, just like the Joker in The Dark Knight, walks into Ryo's room. He's like, all right, I'm gonna bust a cap.
With a gun. Again. Only this time I'm not hiding it in fruit.
We're keeping the fruit out of this one.
I'm just gonna hide it behind a clipboard this time.
Like, I'm not gonna pay for an edible arrangement to do this hit. And what's great is that usually they have like a dummy in place of whoever they're protecting, or if it's one of them, you know, they'll put a wig on something to make someone think it's Ryo. But this time it's Kaori in the bed pretending to be Ryo.
Like, hey there, who were you planning on killing, huh?
He's like, ah! And then Ryo's just behind him with the finger gun.
I'm gonna shoot you with my hand. And the guy doesn't totally fall for it. Like, he flips around and tries to knock Ryo off of him.
And Ryo wants to give chase, but then Yoshimi wakes up and she's like, hey, be quiet, I'm trying to sleep. And she, again, is oblivious to what's going on.
Right.
And dude gets away. So, okay, they tried with the scalpels. They tried with the fruit. They tried with the nurse costume. Now they're like, okay, screw all that. We're going for explosions now. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to dress up one of these guys trying to take out Yoshimi. I'm going to dress up as a doctor. I'm going to tell her, I need you to get, what does he get?
Nitroglycerin.
Because he lies to her like, oh, you know your patient in that room, he's got heart disease, right?
And she's like, oh my god, how did I not notice? I've spent like 3 weeks with him. What's wrong with his heart? Yeah, so you know what you need to do for this heart condition? You need nitroglycerin.
Which is a legitimate thing you would take for some heart complications.
And she just happens to tell Kaori, who's coming out of the bathroom, which I think is a nice detail that we actually see an anime character coming out of the bathroom. Like, oh yeah, they do use the bathroom in this world. Okay,
Kaori had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, great. So, oh, excuse me, Kaori, I gotta go. Apparently something's wrong with Ryo and I need to get nitroglycerin. And Kaori's like, nitroglycerin? Like the explosive nitroglycerin? I don't know.
Admittedly, it's not common knowledge to some people that nitroglycerin is a way of treating some heart conditions. So that's believable. But thankfully, Kaori goes into Ryo's room while he's shaving. And that's another little thing there, too, is that...
no, he was shaving at the beginning
No, you're right. It was
at
the beginning of the episode. But that's still something I don't want to miss, is that they're showing them do these little things that you don't normally see anime characters doing.
Oh, an anime dude's actually got to shave his face, yeah. But no, that was way back at the beginning. Like,
at the very beginning.
I'm sitting here in this hospital, and if I'm going to meet this cute nurse, I want to look my best. Yeah.
And he's got the electric razor going.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, they're in Ryo's hospital room, and Kaori's telling him, hey, Yoshimi said she had to go get some medicine for you, some nitroglycerin. And he was like, nitroglycerin? What? The explosive. And finally, they put 2 and 2 together like, oh, they're gonna blow her ass up.
And thankfully, the one thing that saves her, that stalls her for a little while, is the fact that she's a total idiot. So she's been given this key ring to unlock...
like this janitor key ring.
To unlock the medicine cabinet to get to the nitroglycerin, and she's like, oh, not that one. Oh, not that one. And it's like the 3rd or the 4th one, and she finally gets to it, and the nitroglycerin has this little string, almost, you barely barely
like fishing wire,
barely visible string tied to the bottles of the nitroglycerin. There's like 3 bottles, and then that is tied to the inside of the cabinet door. So when you pull the cabinet door, it drags these 3 bottles out, so they're gonna fall to the ground, and the idea is they fall to the ground and just boom, just blow her ass up right at her feet.
And thankfully, Ryo shows up just in time to catch all 3 and make
one
sure...
in each hand and one in his mouth.
Right, exactly. And he's like, okay, I stopped it. Yoshimi, God bless her, she blames herself. Like, oh no, I almost did that to myself, oh. And then that's when fake doctor's there behind the door like, I'm gonna blow their asses up myself. And he pulls his gun out, and again, he's pulling the gun, which means Ryo can hear that.
But then he throws a bunch of the medicine in the cabinets, seemingly also the nitroglycerin.
Yeah, I thought he grabbed that too.
At the dude, who's like, "Aye!" Like he knows, like this was the intention all along, was to have this nitroglycerin explode. He just didn't think it was gonna be at himself, but it hits the ground and it doesn't blow up, and Ryo's just kind of like, whoops, I guess they were duds, which makes me wonder if Ryo was already aware that there might have been a problem with the nitroglycerin and maybe he swapped it. Mind you, that's just headcanon. But I say that because usually he behaves that way.
Yeah, he does.
When he already knows a thing is gonna be a thing, and then he sets it up so that it's not a thing.
If you want to go that route, it's entirely possible that Ryo could have had Kaori switch it out for him earlier. And then once he knew that somebody had sent Yoshimi down there, he knew they were going to make a play for her life. And that's why he had to go down there to still physically be there to stop whoever was there to finish the job when they saw that the nitroglycerin didn't go off.
I mean, if that was the case, though, then he didn't even need to worry about catching it before it hit the ground.
But you still want to play the part.
I guess so. The whole thing doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense after this either, because this is the part where they seemingly, or we don't see them, try to come after her again after this.
Well, yeah, like Ryo chases this guy off, like he kicks him with the cast leg, you know, like he's some superhero, like, cast leg kick. And dude runs off like, what, isn't that gonna hurt? Like, I know you're probably healing by this point, but don't risk it. Don't do that. But yeah, they go over to Takatsuka's place. You know, he's there in a wheelchair and explaining all this stuff like, oh yeah, it's my son. My son got pissed off that I was going to give this nurse the money, and he's probably the one who set all this up. Would you like to have brought that up sooner?
Are we gonna see the son?
No.
Oh. Well, is anybody gonna keep trying to make plays for her life to get this money?
Probably.
Oh, so should we take care of this so that we know for a fact that they're not gonna keep trying to do that?
I wouldn't worry about it. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, you're just gonna keep this poor woman in jeopardy?
This ending didn't make a lot of sense to me, okay? They have this conversation with the old dude, and Nurse Lady is like... Yoshimi says, well, I don't really want the money because if I had the money, then I know I would quit nursing and I don't want to give up on my dream. So what if we turned this into some sort of a scholarship program? And everybody's like, yes, let's do that.
Well, yeah, Ryo suggests if you don't want to not give her something, but you still want to do something for her, yeah, create a nursing school, put together a scholarship program, and then you can still honor her like that. How about that?
And then on top of that, just quit nursing for a little bitty bit, and then go back to school and be a better nurse. And she's like, yes, let's do that. And as they're saying all of this and trying to resolve all of this, then the music started playing.
Get Wild
has already started playing, and I'm like, did we already go through 23 minutes? Because I still feel like this part where people are gonna come at her for the money is not entirely resolved. We're not talking about, hey, maybe we should address the fact that your son sent out several hitmen. We're not gonna address that part? Yeah, I don't understand.
Because other episodes, usually we have to go after whoever's doing this. Now, we've had a few where that part hasn't been resolved, and this, unfortunately, is one of them where technically the threat is still looming. Now, if you look at it from a certain perspective, technically speaking, if Takatsuka does something with his fortune, that way it's already spent, then technically there's no reason to go after it. So that kind of solves it, but not really.
You still have some dude that we've never met out there who has hired hitmen and done a very illegal thing and tried to do a murder, and we're just not gonna address that guy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, if he sees that the money's been spent, he'll give up. Like, that's the impression that we're given, but it's like, I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah,
like,
he might try to do a murder on someone else for money. Like, this is a guy who is willing to do a murder, okay?
Yeah, like, if he sees that the money's already been spent, like, he might just kill Yoshimi out of spite, out of anger.
Or try and kill his dad? Like, I don't know. This didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so as far as the ending go, this isn't one of the best ones, because a lot feels unresolved.
Now, I mean, the episode was good because it had a lot of really, really great cartoon faces.
Oh, great humor.
Really,
Ryo's
really good.
faces.
Ryo's faces and how he whips back and forth between cartoon and serious face. Just this instant change. There's no transition from cartoony to serious. It's just instant. If you're looking at me, I look serious, but as soon as you look away, I'm a cartoon.
Yeah, and vice versa. Like, he's there laughing with his bean face, eyes, rolling into the back of his head, thinking of all the perverted Mokkori things he can do. And then Yoshimi looks back at him, and then he's Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star serious. Or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure serious. Like, But then you look away, and it's like, and then you look back, and it's like, Like, it's great. I love how they do that.
They start to pick up on that a lot as the series goes on. It becomes very, very common.
But yeah, that's the end of the episode.
Which, okay, I mean, not my favorite ending, but it's not like it was an unentertaining episode. I was entertained.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I was totally entertained. I just wish that maybe Ryo had busted like one more cap, maybe.
Yeah, the sun that apparently exists that we have never seen.
And we'll never see.
Okay, thanks, City Hunter.
So next week's episode, we're going to be dealing with international relations.
Yeah, there's an American character coming up in the next episode named Angel. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they're calling her Angel Heart, which is not Angel Heart, the manga, and the anime that's coming up later after that. But I do think this is where Tsukasa Hojo pulls this name Angel Heart from later.
So we'll get to see that. We'll get to see Ryo try and get some of that American relation going, and Kaori will actually not be in the picture for most of that episode.
But she will be a little upset.
She will be.
So on that note, come back next time when we cover the 25th episode of the TV series, An International Relationship of Love? My rival is a blonde beauty.
And if you want to catch us both outside this podcast, you can always find us over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightTheFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 24th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna hit Josh with an all-American hammer.
Wait, what?